Boxing King Media in association with the Riyadh season. Russ, Anber, it's like past midnight. We're in Spain. It's quite a breezy evening. I've got the heating on for you just to keep it nice and cozy.
I'm from Canada. I don't need the heating, bro. Come on.
Fair point. Looking at the snow you guys get over there, this is nothing.
Yeah, it's nothing. Yeah, it's perfect.
Obviously, how are you, first of all, and how's things been? I know you've been here for about 3-4 weeks now working with Alexander. How's this recent rescheduled camp been?
Second camp, yeah. Good. It's been basically picked up right where we left off in the first, off the first one. So yeah, it's been good. And it sometimes postponements aren't negative, and in this case, I think it's just allowed of course, for Usyk, it's been hard, but in terms of for the general preparation and the strategy and the different things that we want to implement in the fight, we've had more time to gel, and we had an extra basically 6 weeks, in the first time around to get everything together, and now pick right up where we left off from the last camp. So it's good. Like, it's one of those things that happen, and it's boxing, man.
Fair point. And I said, like, you're part of Team Usyk's camp, and I said to you before the interview, I don't want to label you as the cut man or the guy that does the hand wraps or the guy that gets involved in the tactics. I know you play a key part in Alexander's setup. What do you see yourself as when you're in his team? What do you think your role is as a wrestler?
Well, I mean, obviously, I'm in the corner. I'm going to do his hands. I'm going to wrap his hands. We've made these gloves for him. I'll be the cut man on the night. But I think the thing I'm proudest about is my involvement in speaking with the team and devising strategy and what we're going to do, playing a role in that, playing a role in the technical aspect of how Usyk does things, just fine-tuning things. Like, I'm ADHD about things like in boxing technique, how things should be,
I was watching it today, I noticed that.
Yeah, like it's, so it's always been my trademark as a coach. And to me, there's a big difference between your foot being this far, too far back, or too far in front, or whatever it is. It's a big difference for me. Others don't notice it. And I watch sometimes, coaches working and doing things, and I'm saying, wait a minute, why aren't you correcting this? Why aren't you correcting that? You did that wrong, you did that wrong. And they don't, and I see things. And sometimes they just don't see it, but for some reason I see it. I don't know why. And so I'd like to think that I'm the guy that's doing the final buffing of that diamond. I'm doing that final polish of that diamond and just making sure everything is right. Just that little bit, that could be the difference when you have two great fighters, in this case with Fury and Usyk going at it, that the little difference that I bring makes the difference in the fight.
And you know what, I was watching you today, and what you just said, that's pretty much what I was thinking. I was watching everything you was doing, and I like to observe people when they're in gyms, and I noticed how you was watching his feet, you're watching his body work and everything he was doing, and then at the end of the round you're there like telling him he needs to correct this. And it's good to see that he respects you, and you're obviously a big part of the team because he takes on everything that you're saying, as well as his other coach.
Yeah, and that was important, that I didn't want to feel like I'm coming in here and trying to be a bully or anything, and I want Usyk to be receptive of it, and I knew he would be, but I also had to make sure that everything was cool with Yuri, and we found out, and again, this is as a result of the postponements or getting time to know each other more. It's happened on a few occasions where I'll say something to Usyk, and he'll start laughing, and at first I didn't realize, well, you're laughing at me? He says, no. He says, Yuri, say same thing. So we're both, even though he didn't understand what I said, we both ended up telling Usyk the same thing. So that's good that we're on the same wavelength, So I like that, and I don't ever want to try to impose, because I know how bad that can be when you're trying to impose on a head coach that's there. But when you're both saying the same thing and you're both driving the point home, maybe in a different way, you might be driving it home in a different way, but as long as you're getting the same point across, that's the important thing, and we're both pushing him to do the same thing, so that's good.
No, I agree with that, and like I said, it's good to see that you guys are all gelling. But all the roles that you play, which role do you feel like you're the most expert at? Like, that's your bread and butter?
Oh, I don't know, it was my bread and butter. I think overall package of me as I am as a person, I'd like to think is my bread and butter. I don't think that there's only one thing. I think everything that I do has led me to be who I am and is what I am and is reflective of what I am. So I don't think it's one. I like to think I'm good at all the
I got you.
hats that I wear, and that's what makes me me. I don't think is one thing. No, I don't think it's one thing.
Yeah, that's quite a fair answer because you're obviously in all these different camps. You know, we've seen you over the years in so many different teams, and you're obviously picking up experience and things that you can pick up and take here and there everywhere. So it's not just a case of like, you know, the gloves, the hand wraps, the full coach.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think if I had to say something like what maybe separates me from the rest of the field, when I started in boxing, when you were a trainer and I wanted to be a trainer, it was common practice that you learned to do cuts and you learned to do hands. This wasn't a specialized field. This is what you were as a trainer, and you learned to do that. So I spent my life being a coach, and I spent 45 years being a trainer and a coach in boxing. So now that I don't go to my gym every day, I don't go to the gym every day and train fighters on a regular basis because I'm involved with so many, I can't give that commitment. When I do work a corner and I'm brought in to do, cut man work, when I'm brought in to do that, like I can't help myself when I get in the corner to feel like I'm the coach again, like so I bring an extra an extra thing, yeah, to the corner. And when I'm working with a trainer who's open to listening to what my 45 years of experience has to say, not a better feeling in the world to know that that coach is listening to me and I can communicate to him coach to coach and give him instructions, give him my ideas, see what I see, and we agree on things, or he'll ask me, Russ, what do you think? And I'll give my opinion. And that's a great feeling. That's a great corner working together. And that part I feel that I bring, to answer your previous question, that's the part I feel I bring more to, is that, yeah, I come and work for you as a cut man and I wrap your hands and maybe make your gloves as well. But when I get in that corner, I'm a second pair of eyes as a coach, a real coach, who's worked with all kinds of fighters. As a real coach, that's a second pair of eyes in the corner that I think is beneficial to the fighter and to the coach I'm working with.
That's quite a fascinating assessment there. And the other thing I was going to say, I picked up, you said that this camp's allowed you guys more time to work on the game plan and what you guys want to do. You also think it's helped Tyson Fury as well. We saw the shape he was in. He's now had a further 6 weeks to get in even better shape.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. And I think based on what we've seen, he realizes he's up against, as he calls him, a middleweight. He's going to have to fight at a middleweight's pace. So he's had 3 extra months now, if you will, to take off any excess weight that he didn't want to carry in against a fight like Usyk. There's some fights you want to be a little heavier and some fights you don't. I think this is one that he doesn't want to be in. So there's no doubt about it that he's taking this very seriously. Tyson Fury, despite his antics and, the things that he does on social media and how he talks, and is not a stupid man. He's a very intelligent man in the ring. He knows how to fight for all intent and purposes, and based on what we've seen in fighters of that size, he should be a lumbering ox, slow, easy to hit, and we should be able to dance circles, but he's not. He's not. He's a gifted, although like you say, you can't judge a book by its cover. He's one you cannot judge by its cover because he's an agile, quick, mobile man who can box and who has hands and can let his hands go properly with speed. And he knows that he needs to be in the best shape to take on one of the best fighters in all of boxing, not just the heavyweight division, but in all of boxing in terms of his well-rounded game that Usyk has. And Fury knows this, and he's getting himself ready to meet that challenge. And we're getting ready to face a guy ready to meet that challenge.
Well, when he says middleweight, and he obviously says all these things, did you watch the recent press conference? Do you get the vibe that, because he kind of explained it and he said that he urged all young heavyweights to talk and to be brash and loud and get yourself noticed, and then once you get yourself noticed, then just let your fists do the talking. Do you feel like he says a lot of these things just to get eyes on the event?
Maybe it's from a different era than I'm from. Well, it's a different era. These guys say things every time a fighter says something. After, disrespectful, personal, said bad thing. After, hey, I'm just selling the fight. I'm too old for that stuff now. That doesn't to me sell a fight.
He said in that recent press, and if you watched it, he basically said that,
I'm not just saying about him now. I'm just saying in general.
I'm just going to use this example because he basically said that I don't want anyone to say that Usyk was shit, you know, quote unquote, because he said, you know, when he beat Wilder, people are saying Wilder was now done, etc. They always ridicule the wins, and there's every chance if Usyk wins, people will say Fury wasn't the same after the Wilder wins. That's just the world we live in. But so that's basically just wanted to get your opinion.
I saw that. But to be fair, if there is that to be said afterwards, he started it, you know, months and months and months ago, saying, you know, he was gappy toothed and, you know, he was small and he got beat by Dubois, and, you know, like, he started it to say that. But I know he doesn't mean it. I know he's, you know, he's talking. He just wants to say anything, like it's a shock jock mentality, you know, like the disc jockeys who will say anything crazy just to get callers to call in, you know, back in the day when that was popular. So it's okay. It's no problem. But I know by the way he prepares himself, by the way he's facing this challenge, shows what he really feels about Alexander Usyk. He can say what he wants, but the way he's preparing and what he's doing to get ready for Alexander Usyk, that shows the respect he has for Usyk.
What do you make of him, you know, after the Ngannou fight? He was specifically asked about his shape and his weight that he was obviously carrying, but he just kept saying that he had a great camp, he did everything right, and obviously you can see physically the difference between that guy and the guy that he's now, but still he's kind of maintained saying that he was still training fully. Do you think that's just because we noticed when AJ lost to Usyk, he never made any reasons, never said that it was because of this or because of that, and I know when Usyk had that performance against Chisora, he didn't say nothing. He just took it, said like, you know what I mean, I still got the W, etc. Do you think elite fighters are kind of got this mentality of just not to make excuses, basically?
Well, I would hope so, that they wouldn't make excuses, and you know, you would like to think that he's not going to turn around and say, I didn't train for the fight. My perception of what happened, and this is what I told everybody, that he's taking the Ngannou fight as part of his preparation. As part of, and that's what fighters used to do back in the day. They would take a fight
Like a
in the
warm-up.
like call it a warm-up fight, a tune-up fight. They used to call it back in the day. You know, take a tune-up, right? And he would take that, not 100% shape, but with enough skill and natural ability and talent that even at 60% of what he is good enough to beat an Ngannou. I don't think he expected to get hit on the temple and get dropped. That wasn't part of the plan. I'll give him that. But I don't think he was in 100% shape, because if he was in 100% shape, I think he'd blast Ngannou out of there, and not even necessarily by knockout power, but simply by the pace he would set that would cause Ngannou to maybe collapse from exhaustion. Because going 10 3-minute rounds is something that, unless you've done it really against elite fighter, is something you really can't explain. And it's the same way how you wonder, how does a guy who hasn't boxed for 5 years, former fighter, former champion, come back into the gym a week after he's in the gym, he can go 8 rounds? Because he knows how to go 8 rounds.
How to move around.
And you know how to go 10, okay? And you know this. So Ngannou had never been there, you know, and my prediction before the fight was that, you know, it wouldn't be a case of Fury hurting him. It would be the pace he was going to set was going to be Ngannou was going to collapse from exhaustion, you know, not from punches, just because it's just too much, you know, working too hard. That didn't happen, you know, and it was a slow-paced fight that was clinch-filled, and, you know, yeah, okay, then he's able to go 10 rounds for sure. But I think he used that as preparation, as part of his training camp to get ready for February 17th. Now, it derailed a little because it's 18, but I think that was part of his preparation for February 17th. The old saying in boxing is, you fight him into shape.
Okay.
Fight the guy into shape. And that's what he did. He fought himself into shape.
What do you make of these other narratives that are ran about Alexander? Basically, there's one around his the way he takes body shots. Obviously, he's never been stopped or dropped as a pro from a body shot legally. As far as I
A
know.
legal body shot, yeah.
Legally, officially, that was the official term, so that's the way I'm going with it. Obviously, you had that with the Better Be with the amateurs, but we've seen, you know, Frank Warren's come out and recently said it. You know, everyone's got a strong opinion that he's susceptible to body shots and he doesn't like body shots. And I think they mentioned the AJ fight, the Dubois fight, and obviously the Better Be fight's been brought up. Obviously, you worked with him for a long time. Evidence will suggest that he's never been dropped from a body shot. How does Alexander deal with this kind of narrative that's out there?
I don't know. I don't think he gives. I don't think he gives a hoot about it. I don't think he really cares about that. But I find that, what's the right word I want to use?
Disrespectful?
Well, I don't even know if it's disrespectful. It's almost like, seriously, if he was your fighter, you wouldn't even be, if someone said that about him, he was your fighter, you'd be laughing at them. You'd be black. And I know Frank would would defend his fighter. He'd, what? Based on what? He hit him in the nuts. He'd be all over it. So, better be. Did he hurt him in the amateurs? Yeah. Would you like a list as long on my arm as of people that better be has hurt? Okay, we know how devastating a puncher.
Every single pro in the sport.
That's right. Okay, so the AJ body shot was a legit shot that hurt. Like, I mean, you heard that thing thud in the stadium. Could have hurt anybody, and he didn't get dropped by it.
I was just going to say
that was the legitimate shot.
I was going to say, would it be fair to say the fact that he didn't take a knee, he didn't get dropped from AJ can obviously whack? Suggest that he can take a body shot.
Of course he could. The other ones were
different narrative you could put out there.
You guys, I say you guys, the British media pissed me off when we were in Poland, because we go back to the dressing room, everything's good, walk out into the thing, and the whole press conference is about the low blow, he didn't hit him low. What? How could... Come on, man, guys, how could you not see that? I mean, even Dubois kind of went back to his corner and resigned himself to the fact that, oh, oops, sorry, he went back. He didn't protest there and say, no, I hit him good, it was good. No, he knew he did that, and the angle we had from the corner was, like, I mean, it was so visible to where we were. And you now today, you wouldn't have seen it today. Yeah, I would have liked you to see the cup he's wearing, and that's the same cup he wore in the Dubois fight, where you can always see his belly button when he fights. So it's not like he wears a high cup like a lot of fighters do. He doesn't do that, and I wish you would have seen that, because that's the cup that was there.
I think the fact that the official ruling was that it was an illegal blow, and that's what came from the appeal as well. I think that kind of settled that.
I wish I could remember the name of the British referee who said, if it hit him in the groin guard, it's an illegal blow. Forget about what the belt of his trunk is made of, because fans today, forget about this below the belt thing. Below the belt is a line, right? The line is a thin, pencil thin line that's on your belly button. That's what's considered below the belt. It doesn't mean that it's the 4-inch elastic that now is the modern way of making belts. Before, trunks used to have a 2-inch waistband on them. Now they're 4 or 5 inches. They're a big waistband. So if it lands there, they say that's good. No, it's just a design feature in the way that a pair of shorts is made. It doesn't really mean that's the belt line. Your belt line is not this far that you can hit a guy in the bladder, and say, oh, no, it was on the belt. No, that's not what it means, And when people say that's because they don't understand what a belt line means. So the British referee, I wish I could remember his name, but he said, if he got hit in the groin guard, it's a low blow. And he's right.
So, like I said, we've put a different narrative on it there as well, because it could be seen the other way. Like you said about the AJ body shot, he never went down, he stayed up. And obviously against Dubois, he got back up and won the fight. So that's another way of looking at it. And the other aspect of this fight is like it's two narratives here. People are saying that Tyson Fury won't be able to outbox Usyk. The only way he can win is by mauling him, jumping on him, making it rough, and going to the body. And they're saying Usyk can only win on points. Do you think both of them could be flipped? Them opinions.
Yeah, I think both are. But yeah, I think they could be flipped. So absolutely.
Could Tyson outbox Usyk on points? And could Usyk knock Tyson out?
I think he could if Kim. I think he's very underrated in terms of his power. I also think Tyson is very skilled and can outbox, if you will, or win some rounds boxing. I just hope whatever strategy is used, I just hope that it's a clean fight, and that the referee makes sure it's a clean fight, and that we don't get what you just said, as we've seen in the past, the controversies in the past of the mauling, grabbing, hitting behind the head, holding, leaning, all that kind of stuff. I hope we don't get that. I hope we get a fight that is worthy of the unification, undisputed heavyweight championship of the world. That's what we deserve. We deserve that fight.
Then obviously the wins Alexander's had over AJ. Obviously we've seen AJ come back with some really good performances recently. So again, there's two narratives on that as well. Some people are saying AJ has been matched well. He sparred well in, fought him as an amateur, beat him. He knew what he was up against, blew him away. And then obviously Ngannou looked good because Fury wasn't fit. But then the other spin is AJ just looks great under Ben Davison. He's got his killer instinct back. So Eddie Hearn's come out a few times and said that he feels that the trilogy fight, he'll be able to flip the switch on Usyk and beat him. Have you seen anything that makes you think that that fight's now a closer fight if there was an Usyk AJ trilogy?
Well, I don't think you can have a trilogy when you're leading 2-0 in number of wins. So maybe trilogy is not the right fit.
Do you think AJ narrowed the gap in that second fight?
Yeah, I think he learned from it. Absolutely.
Could he narrow it more in the third fight?
Probably, and then more in a fourth, and eventually you could win. Enough times you could win. AJ's a skilled fighter, and I have to tell you, I've got to tip my hat to Ben. As a trainer, I can see a marked difference in the way he's performing, and that says something about the guy that you're working with. That says a lot about him when you can see something that's, wow, never did that before. There's a big difference in the way he looked, and you could say that, and I have to tip my hat and give credit to Ben Davison for that. Of course, AJ has his role to play in that as well. I never felt AJ was ever comfortable again after him and Rob split. I never thought he found his comfort zone after that. I never thought he looked like he was confident in who was there, who was talking to him, who was telling him things, who was showing him. I never, go to America. I never felt that he had that confidence. And for some reason, whatever it was, something clicked with Ben. And that happens with fighters, that there's just somebody you click with. And it showed. To me, it showed in his fights coming back with Ben Davison, and kudos to him for the job he's done with AJ. And for AJ, again, you guys, the British media, you're tough on this on AJ. He really doesn't deserve some of the battering that he gets in the media.
It doesn't get any battering from me.
Well, no. I'm saying in general. You have to understand.
It's the newspapers that you mean.
Yeah, they're ready to jump on a guy when he gets beat, and and he lost to one of the best fighters in boxing in Alexander Usyk, and
it's crazy how people kind of don't really
appreciate
that he's lost to a Hall of Famer.
24 rounds with the guy. 24 rounds with him.
And he narrowed it down in that second fight.
Yeah.
But people kind of class it as like, oh, you got beat. They were saying he should have retired, etc.
Yeah, like it was so bad, But yeah, credit to him. Like that, I think that shows his mental fortitude of coming back from that kind of adversity and having to deal with that, because by the same token, when he's loved by the media and by the people, he's probably one of the most adored British sportsmen in history. Like they love him. They love him so much he can't go anywhere without being, swamped with people. When they want to love him, they can really love him. When they want to hurt, they can really be hurtful to him, And he's had to fight through that because he's always given of his time. He's always been the best man he could be. He's always avoided trouble. He's always spoke respectfully of his opponents. He's not someone who uses profanity. He doesn't try to sell a fight like what we're talking about. And he's had to come through that. And to bounce back the way he did, credit to him, and credit to Ben Davison for being able to find whatever it was that he found that was able to click and convince Anthony that you can listen to me. I know what I'm doing. Let's buy into what I'm selling here, and we're going to be okay. And he's done that. So credit to both of them. Good job.
And just stick with AJ, and we've seen recently there's a lot of talk of this big show that may happen in September, and all the rumors, all the suggestions are that they want it to be Fury versus AJ. No matter what happens in this fight with Usyk, Has that kind of disturbed you guys as a team, as a camp? You know, what's Alexander thinking about it? Like, because it seems like plans are already being made for what people want to happen. Because that's obviously a big.
Are you trying to imply that the judges have already marked their scorecard?
No, I'm just saying like, no matter what happens in the future, because if even if Fury wins or Fury loses, it seems that that is what's going to happen next. Because there's a rematch clause, and what I'm saying is a rematch clause may not happen no matter who wins.
That I don't know. I mean, there is a rematch clause.
Are you guys talking about it as a team? Because it's quite big news in the last like few weeks. It's been constantly mentioned.
No, but we have talked, and I have talked about, you know, the plans of the biggest fight we can make is AJ. The biggest fight, best fight in boxing we make is AJ. But okay, now he's got a fight to deal with first, you know. So are you already setting the stage? This always makes me worried in the sport of boxing. Are you setting the stage already for another fight when this one hasn't even happened yet, and like you're overlooking this like it's a mere formality? Are the scorecards marked already? They better not be. You know, he better get a fair shake in this fight from the referee and from the judges. Both of them deserve that. Both of them deserve that.
You want 5 judges?
You know what? I wasn't opposed to, and in all boxing, not just this fight. I think we're in an archaic mode of refusing to try to fix something that is problematic in boxing with bad decisions. I mean, it's gotten so bad that we don't even remember. Even if I was to ask you, we don't even remember now bad decisions because there's so many of them. They just seem to happen. You forget about them, and you know there's so many of them.
There's a new one that comes after.
Yeah,
You forget about the one that.
You know, that's right, and it's right on the heels of it as well. The fact that 3 judges, 3 men, we call them judges, but 3 men with different opinion of how a fight should be scored, and we don't know their knowledge of boxing, their science of boxing, what they understand, the subtleties of boxing when a guy does something. We don't know how good they are at it. They sit there and they watch a fight. 3 men determine the future financial well-being of somebody, you know, and we don't have their qualifications, and only 3 people. And look at the amount of bad decisions we see. There has to be a way that we try to improve on that. Now, we don't want to change the scoring system, which is because I think everybody likes the scoring system, win the round. You know, there's a few things that I don't like, you know, this automatic 2-point win of a round if you score a knockdown, you know. Well, it has to be a legitimate knockdown to be a 2-point round. You can't just say because you get a knockdown, you get a 2-point. You could have been battered for the rest of the round. And I have many examples of working fights where a situation has occurred that didn't merit 2-point rounds, and you scored 2 rounds identically the same, and they were so different, you know, so diametrically opposed in terms of rounds. But that's for another interview. But I think we do need a way of having more people's input on judges. I think we need more accountability from judges as to how they score a fight. Why shouldn't we? They're entitled to that. You're the ones determining the future, not the fighters, the promoters, the television people who have invested millions of dollars in a fighter deserve a better deal. They deserve a better deal as to how a fight is scored. At all levels. You know, a young up-and-coming fighter, you know, the difference between winning and losing the fight means he's fighting for, you know, $5,000 or he's going to fight for $35,000. You know, that's for a young kid coming up, that's a big deal for him. The judge who's sitting there doesn't matter. He gets his $500 for the night, $1,000 for the night, whatever it is he got to do the fights or for working the night. We deserve better. And if it means, and I like Mauricio's idea of saying having more judges, get a better consensus of people, you know, get more people involved in judging the outcome of a fight. The same way that all the fans see it, everybody sees this guy winning. 3 judges saw the other guy winning. 20,000 are right, got the wrong guy. 3 guys picked the guy who everyone felt lost. So there's something to say about that, you know. I think we have to do some kind of changes.